I honestly thought that the guys put on a fabulous display tonight, away from home, 10 changes from the weekend. I thought these players that had gone out on the field deserved their opportunity again. And for the best part of an hour or more, I thought we were very much in the game. Great recovery after going a goal down. And it was really there for us to go on and win with some senior players coming off the bench. You know, the goal straight after the weather break was, okay, we could say it was down to, you know, a lapse in focus or concentration that can sometimes happen, but it's been the difference between the two teams tonight. So a huge amount to come out of this for some of our, what we would class as fringe players, some really good performances. You know, all in all, I think the guys, you know, gave a terrific account of themselves, as I've said. And I do think that even though we've come out here having been beaten, there'll be enough pride in the way that we've played and enough for us to take out of this game to certainly take into Sunday's game and keep our lead form going.
Thank you, Coach. We are going to open the floor for questions. A reminder to please alert me through either raising the hand or through the chat that you have a question for Coach. We'll kick it off with Team Sweden.
Hey, Gary, you mentioned the 10 changes from the squad at the weekend. How do you balance at this stage of the year which competitions you're going to prioritize? And how did you feel like some of your guys who are maybe not, you know, every week first 11 players managed to come out and show for themselves tonight?
Well, yeah, look, if you look at the way that we'd balanced the playing time for what we would class as more of a first team group, you know, we went Wednesday, Saturday, very quick turnaround in 2 days, 2 fantastic results. But a big part of this Open Cup has been, you know, the ownership, if you like, by some of what we would class as I've said, as the fringe players, the group players. They've done tremendously well in this competition. And I'm not, listen, yes, you may say I'm prioritising the league because I've changed so many players, but there was never any discussion on we're comfortable in not being in this competition. I think you can see from the changes off the line that there was a plan with this. You know, we had guys on the line, if the initial group could do a very, very good job, which they did, that we could get stronger and stronger. And that was the route we were going. The one thing we didn't cater for was obviously the weather. And coming out of the locker rooms, I've got to say, there were a couple of guys not in the right place. You know, there's a couple of people that certainly can look back on that and say, well, I could have done better, and it has cost us. However, I think the group has been galvanised by this competition. It's given a number of players a real shot in the arm, and it's certainly given me the opportunity over the course of 3 competitive games to look at some guys that might not have got as many minutes as they have and say, okay, you know, when you're needed, are you in the right place? And that predominantly is what I've seen in this competition.
Tim, do you have any follow-up question?
Yeah, Gary, you mentioned that you had no intention of going out of the competition this evening. So first of all, emotionally, how does it feel? And then in terms of your resources and personnel, how do you react going forward to whether that's focus on the league, you know, be able to focus on Leagues Cup or whatever it may be?
Well, look, just to clarify this, it's impossible to turn out the same players week in, week out, especially with the schedule we've had. So I just want to make sure that there isn't anyone out there thinking, well, why didn't Hanny start? Why didn't Dak start? Why didn't Teal start? There's lots of different reasons why these guys were just not ready for the start of this game. The efforts that they've put into the league play to this point have been phenomenal. So it certainly was deserving of the guys that went out there to take this game under their wing and run with it, which they did. You know, as far as the rest of the season goes, I've already said, you know, that we'll be in the right place. There's plenty to take out of this game. we played with a lot of pride. We played with a lot of determination and will. And, you know, barring a little bit more quality in the final third, in the final stages, we may have even got ourselves an equaliser, but it wasn't to be. So there's lots to take out of it. And the guys are in a good place. It will have served a lot of players really well tonight. And we push on towards Sunday, and we look forward to a big challenge from Columbus.
You mentioned, you know, the ability to bring some of your stronger players off of the bench, or some of your regular first choice 11 sort of guys off the bench. Almost immediately, Alex comes on and scores. What does that say about both kind of that philosophy and then kind of the strength that you guys have going forward to, you know, when you put your best players on the field to have a chance to compete for the league, to have a chance to compete for the playoffs, to have a chance to compete for the League's Cup and all the competitions that you're in?
Well, I think we've seen to this point in the league that we're in a very competitive position, and the players, I think, are growing week in, week out in the way that they're playing, the way that they feel, the rhythm that they're in. So, you know, what we would class as maybe a starting 11, and outside of that, 14 or 15 deep, you would say there's not going to be an awful lot of change in that first team group. So I'm you know, very pleased with where we're at. You know, I'll be looking forward to the weekend. Those fresh legs will be back, ready and raring to go. This has been a challenging run. You know, we stayed in Charlotte. We wanted to, you know, really give it our best shot here. So we stayed over, we cut out a journey, and we flew from Charlotte to here. So we've been on the road a number of days. And I thought, honestly, that the endeavours of the players were absolutely terrific. So if I haven't answered your question, I'm sorry. It was a long one. But all in all, you know, I'm looking forward to getting back to league play. And, you know, a very challenging one at that against Columbus at the weekend. And I'd like to keep our home form going.
No, you know that. You're good.
Thank you, team. We're going to transition to Valer. Valer, go ahead.
Hey, Gary. First, you said this was a kind of an emotional sort of game, right? And you're out of the cup. How do you think the players will respond to that? Do you have any worries in terms of this affecting anything else going forward?
Oh, I don't think so at all. There's some disappointed guys in there for obvious reasons. They've put a lot into it, but you know, I think the one thing that we can draw on is that, you know, the team that started against Charlotte, against Miami the Wednesday before that, you know, the games are flying by now. Those guys will be fresh and ready and raring to go come the weekend. So I don't see any issues there. Maybe some of the other guys will look at it and say, you know what, maybe there were a couple of other things I could have done there to have really dragged us through that game, because it was there for us. I think there was a window of opportunity there and we missed it in that 5 minutes coming out of the locker room.
And then for guys like Lawrence White and Josh Bauer, you know, there's not going to be MLS minutes, or unless there's something else that happens. Are we going to see them more, and Elliot Panic as well? Are we going to see them featured in Huntsville more often, or are they going to stay with this group?
Yeah, I think all the guys you've mentioned there have come out of this tournament in particular because that's where they've got the most minutes, with a lot of credit. You know, circumstances in any season can, you know, contrive to players being in, out, injured, suspended, and a multitude of other things. So it's vital that everyone stays fit, ready, and available. They, as I've said, will take an awful lot out of this competition. It's valuable, you know, high caliber playing time for some of those guys. If they need football down at Huntsville, we'll get them football down at Huntsville. You know, we know full well that we've got a very good balance of development and connection with the senior team, first team, to make sure that, you know, guys coming back from injuries. You saw Randall Leal down there last Friday. it is the most ideal place now for those guys to go and get minutes and to be ready for what, you know, is the main event, which is the first thing.
Thank you,
One
Coach.
last one.
Okay.
Sorry, go ahead. Just one quick last one about Randall Leal. We saw him obviously featured in multiple games now. Is he back to that almost 100%, or where is he in his recovery and match fitness?
Big reason he went down there for an hour on Friday was so that he didn't travel and sit on the bench and not get many minutes. I think, you know, that's testimony to the character he is, that goes down there and gets that time. He's had 70 minutes tonight. I think we're on our way to seeing Randall back where he, you know, needs to be, which is with some sharpness, match sharpness. He's part of a squad and a group of players that are now going to force so much more out of each other, and hopefully that is something we see returned in results.
Thank you, Coach, for taking the time today. Safe travels coming back.
Yeah.
That will conclude today's media availability. Altogether, we look forward to seeing you on Sunday night following our match against Columbus. Have a wonderful night. Bye-bye.